Would you like to have vegetables, homegrown vegetables, right outside your yard, but you know you don't have room in your yard for a vegetable garden, or you live in an apartment where there's just a small balcony area? Consider container gardening. Any vegetable that you can grow in an in-ground garden can be grown in a container. However, there are a few things that container plants do need. They need a suitable container, suitable growing medium, adequate water, nutrients, and light. Your container garden obviously needs a container. It can be just about any type of plastic, wood, ceramic, terracotta, even metal container. There are a few things that your container does need. Make sure your container has adequate drainage holes. A container with no drainage holes will not allow the water to seep out. You also want to make sure that your container is large enough for the plant that you're growing. Plants like tomatoes need a large container, whereas plants like lettuces can use a smaller container. So just about anything you have at home can be used for your container. Let's talk a little bit more about drainage because it is so important. Yes, it is good to have drainage holes in the bottom, but also it could be a good idea to put drainage holes around the side. If your pot just has drainage holes on the bottom, it might be a good idea to prop it up with wood pieces or rocks to allow the water to drain out adequately. Most first-time container gardeners kind of have an underestimation of the size container that's needed for their vegetables. Large containers are for vegetables that will grow larger and larger. Smaller containers are for the smaller vegetables, and that just makes sense. Checking through seed catalogs, you might see that there are dwarf varieties that have been developed. There's even a variety of corn on the cob, that has been developed for a container garden. Please make sure that you check your Cooperative Extension website, and they will have information as to what size container your vegetable would be best in. To grow your vegetables in containers, it's best to use lightweight, porous potting mixture. The potting mixture is best if it remains loose, drains well, but will retain moisture and be able to hold nutrients for plant growth. Here's some examples of different kinds of potting mixture. Does not matter if you use organic or non-organic, as long as it is not garden soil. Garden soil does come in bags that may resemble this, but garden soil is way, way too heavy. Also, using soil from your yard or from an existing vegetable garden is not advised. It will get too compact and hard and not allow your plants to grow their very best. Most of these potting mixes that you buy at garden stores or big box stores are very, very low in plant nutrients. Plant nutrients such as nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium are needed for healthy plant growth. At some time or other, all of the nutrients in your potting mixture will be used up. Your plants may start to take on a yellowish tinge. You may notice some of the leaves turning a bit yellow. That's usually an indication that they need fertilizer. Fertilizer can be synthetic or man-made, or also organic. It doesn't matter which type of fertilizer you use, but it should be water soluble with a container garden. Make sure by water soluble that it can be dissolved in water, and when you water the plants, those nutrients will go into the plant roots. Your container garden is dependent upon you to take care of it, to give it the proper nutrients, proper food, as well as the proper water. Plants need water to make vegetables for their photosynthesis process. It's important that you monitor the watering of your garden. Check your soil. If it's dry, 1 to 2 inches below the surface, that means that you need water. Your container garden will dry out much faster than an in-ground garden. You may need to even water your container garden twice a day. Ideally, watering in the morning is best. When you water, do not water the leaves. Try not to get the leaves wet. That will help prevent disease. Water the plants where they need it, at the ground level, at their roots. Most herbs and vegetables need a full day of sun. By full sun, that means 6 to 8 hours. However, try to put your container where it gets as many hours of sunlight per day as possible. Before you plant your container garden, make sure that you thoroughly mix your potting soil with water. It should be moist. It's best to do it in another container, like a large bucket, rather than doing it in the container itself. If you're sowing seeds rather than putting a vegetable plant in there, make sure that you follow the directions on the back of the seed packet. Seed packets are invaluable for giving you information as to what your vegetable will need as it grows. If you have put seeds in your container, at some time or other, the plants may become very, very crowded together. In container gardening, it's important to give your plants adequate growing space. Your seed packet will tell you how far apart each plant should be. If there are plants growing in between, it's a good idea either to snip them off with scissors or pull out the smaller plants. Your vegetable plants in containers still might be susceptible to disease and pests, although not quite as much as vegetables grown in an in-ground garden. What you want to do is carefully check your plants. Look at all parts of your plant. If you notice, perhaps some strange looking growth, keep an eye on it. If you notice perhaps something that has been chewing at your leaf or stem, keep an eye on it. Looking at your plants every day is the best way to make sure that you keep disease and pests under control. If you do have any questions as to what might be wrong with your plants or a problem you're having, contact your local cooperative extension office.